I'll bring the April 24th, 2025 Board of Adjustments meeting to order. It's 7:01. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Whitealis?
Here.
Member Stringer?
Here.
Member Stahl?
Here.
Member Dietrich? Here. Chair Knudsen?
Here. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
We don't have any changes to the agenda tonight.
Okay. I'll open it up to public forum. Public forum is opportunity for the public to come up to hear about non-agenda items. The time limit for each person is limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public forum? Seeing none, we'll move to the next item. Consideration of minutes. We have the regular meeting, our last regular meeting, October 30th, 2024 minutes. Were there any questions, changes to those minutes? Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve meeting minutes from October 30th, 2024.
Second.
Get a roll call, please?
Member Whitealis?
Yes.
Member Stringer?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Member Dietrich? Yes. Chair Knudsen?
Yes. All right, we'll move on to new business. 6.A, variance request, relief from the maximum accessory building size and side setback requirement for a new shop proposed at 7785 Kelbran Lane. Mr. Byrd.
Chairman Knudsen and Board of Adjustments, Cody Bird, Planning Director. Our Planner 3, Brittany Lenore, is going to be presenting this agenda item. As she's coming up to introduce that, I'd like to take a moment to just give a quick refresher on public hearing procedures so that the board is reminded and anyone in attendance knows what the process is and what to expect. So in a public hearing procedure, it is a quasi-judicial proceeding. In just a moment, I will circle back and I'll ask the Board of Adjustments if there are any disclosures of ex parte communications or conflicts of interest. And you can disclose those at that time. Ms. Lenore will do a staff presentation of the case being considered tonight. Following the staff presentation introduction, the applicants will have an opportunity to share any additional information that they would like to share regarding their request. And following that, if the board has any questions of a just clarification or technical nature, we can help answer those questions. We'll then give an opportunity for the public to be heard. We'll open the public hearing. Public will be allowed to provide testimony on this particular application, and following public comments, the public hearing portion will be closed. The applicant will then have an opportunity to address any comments that were received during the public testimony, and staff will have an opportunity to provide any staff closing comments. After those rebuttals, the board will have the opportunity to deliberate on the item, and after your deliberations, you would make a motion to take action on that item. Are there any questions regarding the public hearing procedures for this evening? No. Very good. Then at this time, I'd like to circle back and invite the board if you've had any, or if anyone has a conflict of interest on this agenda item tonight. Okay. And does anyone have any ex parte communications, meaning information received outside of the public meeting tonight that you would like to disclose? No. Very good. We did provide one printout at the bench here for board members tonight. It was the addendum that was added to this packet with some communications we received after the original agenda item was published. And I believe Ms. Lenore will comment on that in her presentation as well. So, Ms. Lenore, if you are ready, I will hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Bird. Can you actually share your screen? Mine is not working for some reason.
I will, if you can promote me to panelist.
Sorry about that. While they're getting that up, I just want to introduce myself, Brittany Lenore, Planner 3 with the Town of Wellington Planning Department. And tonight we're talking about 2 variance requests at 7785 Kelbran Lane. Like Mr. Bird mentioned, we did receive neighborhood letters prior to this meeting, and you guys did receive that addendum in your packet a couple days ago. Thank you. So we can go to the next slide. So this lot is at the Kelbran Estates subdivision. And you can see that is Lot A here. The site is currently developed with a single-family home. And the variance requests are two requests. One, to reduce the 20-foot setback along the side to 8 feet for a detached shop. And the second would be to allow a larger accessory structure over the normally required 50% floor area of the principal building. And you'll see a picture of the house there, and then the variance request, the next. Keep going. Okay. And so for a variance request, there are findings for approval that speak on consistency with the comprehensive plan and the land use code, that the variance will not create unnecessary hardship or practical difficulties on a reasonable use of the land, that there is a need for the variance due to specific physical conditions on the site, and that the strict application of the regulations deprive the applicant of reasonable use of the land compared to other similarly zoned properties, as well as the other findings that the variance is not a result of the actions by the applicant, that the granting of the variance will not harm public health, safety, welfare, that the variance request is the minimum necessary to alleviate the need, and that the request is consistent with prior approvals, plans, and policies. And so the subject site is zoned R1 residential rural density. This zoning district really is intended for larger lot, lower density, single-family residential properties. And that is similar to what the comprehensive plan notes this area as, which is a low-density residential district, which is predominantly attached and detached single-family homes. And with single-family homes, there is commonly accessory structures, detached or attached. And so this site does have some constraints on it currently. There is an existing drainage easement along the front and along the rear of the property that does limit structures within those easement areas. There is also an existing mature tree in the middle of the backyard. If you go there, perfect. So you'll see on that top photo along the left side is the tree that we're talking about. That's right in the middle of the property, the backyard. So it is limiting relocation of the shop to somewhere else outside the setbacks unless that tree were to be removed, which is not a desire of the owners. And also you will see existing condition of the neighborhood. That bottom photo is just an area of the Kelbran Lane and the homes on that site. And there are existing larger detached accessory structures there already. So the finding about creating harm to welfare and the community, it would be a consistent layout that we see in this Kelbran Estates subdivision. And so when we're talking about the variance, it would specifically be just for that area that the shop is proposed at. So it's a 60-foot length along that north side property line. Again, 20 feet is required, and they're proposing 8 feet because of the tree. Also, the size of the shop would be over the 50% limitation. It is proposed to be behind the existing home, so it will be mainly screened from view when viewing from Kelbran Lane. And as I've mentioned, there are existing context of detached larger accessory structures, and the structure was reviewed by the HOA, and they did acknowledge that they've seen the requirement and they're okay with it. So for the recommendation, staff does recommend granting the variance for both the setback as well as the size, but based on findings and conditions of approval. And those conditions are that the setback's not reduced to less than 8. The size of the shop is not allowed to be greater than the proposed 2,400 square feet. That the plans that are issued be consistent with the plans that are included in your packet today, and that they obtain any necessary building permits and comply with all zoning and building codes. And so I'm available for any questions you might have, and the owners are also here as well.
All right, thanks, Brittany.
Thank you.
Board have any questions on that presentation?
I had just kind of a question. It looks like a few of the neighbors had written letters in support.
Mhm.
They thought it was fine, but the person that's closest to it, on the north side.
Yeah.
There wasn't a letter from,
I did not receive a letter
You
from them, no.
so, but you didn't, yeah, that's you?
Okay.
Can I ask him? He'll have an opportunity to talk. Okay, that was my only question, is that the people around it
Yeah.
didn't.
So the one to the left sent in a letter, Mrs. Hupp, but,
Right, there's one south, there's one kitty cornered across the
Yeah.
street.
mhm.
Um,
It sounds like we have some other neighbors here. as
Okay.
well.
All right, no further comment. Is the applicant available?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm Cassie Harris. My husband, Ed Harris, is with me and our 2 sons.
Good evening, board.
Pretty straightforward. We moved here in 2008, lived in Buffalo Creek for a while and had our eye on Kelbran Estates since we moved up here. About 8 years ago, we got the opportunity to move into the neighborhood with kind of the dream of having bigger acreage for growing family and putting in a shop for my husband and all of his fun toys that he gets. And so I think it's pretty straightforward. Brittany did a really great job. I think what we're asking for is just to align with the rest of the neighborhood in both size and setback. We do have a beautiful tree. That's the only shade tree we have in our backyard. So we're really passionate. It is a little too large to relocate because we did explore that. So that's really kind of where we're at tonight. Do you guys have any questions?
It kind of looks like you have 5 trees along your fence line.
Yep, we were able to relocate those because they were small enough in size. So we did move them to a different part of the property.
Any other board members? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Okay, at this time, we'll open it to, well, the public comment. Is there anyone that'd like to speak? Everybody's in favor? Yeah, if you would, please. Name and address if you could.
Yeah, I'm Chris Davis, my wife Caroline. We live in 7795. And we're to the north of them, whatever they want to build, get after it. I mean, I see Old Glory behind you. They should be able to, we are free, right? That's all I got to say. If they want it, go for it.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Jason Bowser, 7755 Kelbran Lane. I had an opportunity to buy out there and I was really looking forward to building my shop, which I did. And I enjoy having that, and I enjoy being able to put my camper trailer, my tractor, my boat, my stuff inside. It's just one of those things I don't have to go and rent a bunch of rental places or a storage unit to be able to do that. And it's safe at my property, and I would hope everybody else out there would have the same opportunity that I have. And other guys and other families out there do have the same type of stuff, and we all look after each other's stuff out there. So I hope you guys would take that in consideration, and then I hope they get the opportunity that I have as well too. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'm Scott Ross. I live at 7774 Kelbran Lane, across the street from where Ed and Cassie live. We started that HOA years ago, about 17, 18 years ago now. Basically, everybody's moved out there so they could have a shop in their backyard. And it was all, they're like 1 acre lots. And everybody moved out there and paid the extra expense for that size of lot so they could afford to have a shop put out there. And at the time when the HOA was started, we had a size restriction on the shops that were to be out in the back areas. And I don't know how it got rezoned to get smaller, but it seems to me that he ought to be grandfathered in since other people in the neighborhood already have a shop, a little bit larger than what the current zoning calls for. And the same thing with the setback as well. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any. Okay.
Hi, I'm Catherine Thornton, and I'm president of the Kelbran Homeowners Association. We have 16 lots out there, and there are only 5 without outbuildings, including theirs. When everybody bought, this restriction for outbuildings wasn't on, and I agree with Scott that everyone should have the same opportunity. Everyone on the Architectural Review Board or on the board did agree that this was a variance we could live with in the neighborhood, and it wouldn't cause any harm to Kelbran Lane or the town. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Okay, I'll close the public comment and bring it back to the board for discussion.
Did the applicant have any
Oh, sorry.
closing remarks? Okay. Ms. Lenore, do you have any closing remarks?
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for discussion. Okay. I don't know. All right.
If- Good question, Ms. Vidalis. So, yeah, as Ms. Lenore included in her staff report and presentation, there are 2 considerations on the consideration for tonight. We did group them together since they're both for the same structure, and it didn't make sense to separate them out completely. One seems to be contingent upon the other, and concurrent review is allowed under our code. So we did present these as kind of 2 requests in the same packet. The Board of Adjustment, if you feel strongly one way or the other, we're happy to help guide you through what procedure to handle. But if you're supportive of both, you can approve both at the same time under the same motion. If you wanted to separate them out to consider them one at a time, we can help you with that as well. One thing that, and I'm happy to answer any questions procedurally. One question I would like some clarification on as you work through your deliberations. Ms. Lenore presented the findings that are considered during a variance, and some of the staff's considerations and recommendations for those findings are included in the staff report. If the board agrees with those findings in the staff report, you can acknowledge those and we can reference them in the final record. Or if you'd like to modify them, we would like clarification on what we need to modify for the board's considerations. Or if you disagree with one of the findings that staff presented, we'd like to update that with the board's findings. So we are just seeking clarification on the findings for which the board is making your decision.
Okay. Yeah, I read through the findings, and I guess I agree with what's in there, so I don't have any additions or changes to it. Okay. So yeah, we're good with those.
Okay, thank you. Then I would allow you, if you have any further deliberations, if not, if you need help crafting a motion, we can help you with that. Ms. Lenore did also present recommendations for conditions of approval, and we can help answer any questions regarding those or amend the motion as necessary to satisfy the board's concerns with any conditions needed.
Okay. Anybody want to take a shot at that motion?
I'll try.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve agenda item 6A with the 20-foot setback on the east side and an 8-foot setback on the north side, with staff recommendations all followed
Do we want to do it two separate motions then, or are you gonna add there's the square
Oh,
footage
yeah.
portion in there too?
And approve that the 2,400 square foot is approved with the 50% of the floor principal structure.
As I heard, the motion was to approve both variances for setback and square footage based on the staff recommended conditions of approval and based on the staff recommended findings. Is that,
Yes, correct.
With no modification.
No.
okay, very good.
I second.
Okay, can I get a roll call, please?
Member White Alice,
Yes.
Member Stringer,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Member Dietrich. Yes. Chair Knutson.
Yes. Variance approved.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right.
Thank you all. You're welcome to stick around. We have one additional agenda item and it probably won't take long. So you're free to leave if you'd like, or you can stick around.
It'll be thrilling.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
All right, we'll move on to 6B, election of officers.
We get to do this once a year, which is almost as frequently as this board gets to meet. So some of you are familiar with this process. This agenda item is for election of officers. The chair of, or the offices of chair and vice chair are elected annually. They serve for a calendar year until the first meeting of the following calendar year. In your packet, we've included a very brief explanation of how election of officers works. It requires a nomination. The person nominated has to accept the nomination. And then there has to be a majority vote for that person to fill that office. I recommend doing the chair position first, followed by the vice chair. So at least you know who's still eligible to serve in that office. And for purposes of meeting procedure, you would not take the seat of that office until the next meeting, which very well could be the next election of officers. You never know. But so it's a pretty simple process for nominating and voting. But at this time, I can answer any questions, or you can begin nominations for the position of chair.
Do you have any questions on the elections?
And make a motion to approve Wyatt Knutson as chairman for a second term.
Do you accept?
I'll accept.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member White Alice,
Yes.
Member Stringer,
Yes.
Member Stahl,
Yes.
Member Dietrich. Yes. Chair Knutson.
I guess so. Yes. All right, can I get nominations for vice chair?
I make a motion to keep Eric Stahl as vice chair.
I approve.
Second that motion.
Very good.
Roll call?
Member White Alice,
Okay.
Member Stringer,
Yes.
Member Stahl,
Yes.
Member Dietrich. Yes. Chairman Knutson.
Yes. There you go.
Very good.
Tough election.
I do
Tough
have one
question.
question. The little packet you gave us, it has that, where people's terms end.
Mhm.
Are they up to date?
So Member White Alice is referring to a binder that we provide for board members, and it has a contact and terms sheet with everyone's names and how long their office or their appointment is. I don't know if the version you have in front of you is the most current, and I apologize that,
It says 23, 24.
yeah,
You know, I had no idea when my term was up, so I just looked at it, but, right.
It's
And,
it's auto renewal,
So who just recently resigned?
um,
Reggie?
Rich.
yeah. So what I can do is I will email the board members an updated sheet so you have that, and because we've added Mr. Dietrich to that, and I don't think that I ever sent that out after that appointment was made, so I will get that sent out to board members, and thank you for that reminder.
Okay, So it's Eric, Megan, Wyatt, me, Sherman, Stephen Carmen's not on the board anymore,
He's
right?
still an alternative, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's still
so
an alternate?
there's
Okay.
two alternates. That was one of my communications I was going to share in a moment.
John are the alternate, okay.
Yeah.
All right, got it.
Yep.
That's all my questions.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Member White Dallas. So we will send out an updated contact and terms sheet for all the board members. I have one communication. If
Go
we're
for
ready
it.
for that. Along those lines that Ms. White Dallas asked about, we did receive a resignation notice from Stephen Carmen. He's resigned his position from the Board of Adjustments alternate effective immediately. He wasn't available tonight and he decided this was the right time that he needed to step back to free up his schedule for other things that he's committed to. So sharing that with you. So we do have one vacancy for that alternate one position. Staff will begin the process of advertising that there's a vacant position for the Board of Adjustments. And that process, once we have some applications, there's typically an interview process and the Board of Trustees appoints members to fill the vacancies. So we'll keep you apprised of how that process goes and who that next person to serve in that alternate role will be,
Thanks, Cody.
of course.
All right, any other communications? Any words of wisdom? No? I guess,
I did have one more question.
I
Are
need-
you Aiden?
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
But
Make motion to adjourn. Inappropriate.
it certainly
and
is.
if you want.
Well, if y'all don't mind, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right. All those in favor?
Ah.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.